In today's lecture, we will talk about proteins. As an important cellular foundation, protein is present in every living cell, accounting for nearly half of a cell's dry weight. Proteins are very large molecular structures containing the elements carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen, and sometimes sulfur and phosphorus. Proteins consumed are hydrolyzed by enzymes in the small intestine into individual amino acids for absorption and utilization. As you know, protein is a polymer. The monomer of protein is an amino acid. An amino acids contain a basic or amino group, an acid or carboxyl group, and a side chain or R group that varies from one amino acid to another. The R group is specific for each amino acid and connected to the alpha carbon. It's responsible for determining charge and polarity of the amino acid. Thus, amino acids with chemically similar R groups can be expected to function in similar ways, for example, during protein folding. Amino acids combine with each other to make long chains. Amino acids attach to one another with a peptide bond in which they lose one water molecule per reaction. Two amino acids together form a dipeptide. Several amino acids bound together form a polypeptide. Food and body proteins contain polypeptides. Proteins can consist of as few as 50 to as many as millions of amino acids monomers in one or more polypeptides arranged in a biologically functional way. All the billions of proteins associated with life are made from combination of 20 different amino acids. These amino acids can be classified as indispensable, dispensable, or conditionally indispensable. These classifications were previously known as essential, non-essential, and conditionally essential. 9 indispensable amino acids are required in the diet. Dispensable amino acids are essential for the body, but they can be produced from indispensable amino acids, so are not required in normal conditions. The body is able to make adequate amounts of dispensable amino acid if a sufficient amount of protein is available to furnish the nitrogen needed, and enough calories are present to allow the catabolism or breakdown of amino acids. In certain nutritional or disease states or stages of development, several dispensable amino acids become indispensable. These are classified as conditionally indispensable. For example, is the increased need for glycine in pregnancy, especially in late gestation, making glycine conditionally indispensable. If any one of the indispensable amino acid is not available when needed for protein synthesis, the protein cannot be produced. A food with all the indispensable amino acid present is called a complete protein. When the 9 indispensable amino acids are provided from a food in amounts adequate to maintain nitrogen balance and permit growth, the food is said to provide high-quality protein. High-quality protein foods have all the indispensable amino acids present in balanced amount for human physiologic requirements. Foods providing high-quality proteins include meats, poultry, and all types of seafood. If the quantity of one or more of the indispensable amino acid in a food is insufficient for optimal protein synthesis, the food is a source of low-quality protein. Low-quality proteins, if the only protein source consumed, support life but not normal growth. These include proteins found in legumes, nuts, and grains. Proteins are required to build new tissue, particularly during periods of increased growth, in periods of wound healing or recovery, and in individuals who are physically active. Body proteins need to be replaced because they are continuously being broken down. Amino acids and proteins are constituent of regulatory enzymes, hormones, and other body secretions. The structural compound collagen is a protein substance in connective tissue that helps support body structures such as skin, bones, teeth, and tendons. Low protein intake may affect all of these compounds. Proteins attracts water. Albumin draws water from interstitial space fluid or cells to maintain blood volume. During protein deficiency, a decreased amount of protein in the blood causes a loss of osmotic balance, resulting in an accumulation of interstitial fluid and edema. Antibodies or immunoglobulins, the body's main protection from disease, are proteins. Low protein levels may negatively affect an individual's immune response, resulting in an inability to fight bacteria and other harmful organisms. Proteins enable insoluble fats to be transported through the blood. Protein is used as a source of energy when calorie intake from carbohydrate and fat is inadequate and indispensable amino acids are not available for synthesis of proteins. Protein requirements for health are based on body size and rate of growth. The body requires more protein during growth periods as well as for maintenance and repair of a larger body mass. To a certain extent, the better the quality of protein or the amount of indispensable amino acids, the less quantity is required. The World Health Organization recommends 0.75 grams of proteins per kilograms of lean body weight. The acceptable macronutrient distribution range for protein intake is between 10% and 35% of total caloric intake, which translates to 200 until 700 calories per day for a 2000 calories diet. When any condition of health or disease causes a significant protein loss, an increased protein intake prevents excessive loss of tissue and plasma proteins. Dietary protein is restricted only in some physiologic disease states affecting the liver and kidney, because these organs are heavily involved in protein metabolism and excretion of protein waste products. If the liver and kidney are diseased, excessive amounts of protein cannot be properly handled without further organ damage. There are several groups of individuals that are susceptible to insufficient intakes of proteins, such as elderly individuals, individuals with low income, strict vegetarians or vegans, individuals with a lack of education or who are unwilling to shop wisely, and patients who are chronically ill or hospitalized. For example, patients with acquired immune deficiency syndromes, anorexia nervosa, or cancer. Inadequate amounts of dietary protein contribute to sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is the progressive loss of muscle mass and strength with aging, a condition many believe is normal for elderly individuals. For the older population, a moderate increase in dietary protein intake may be beneficial to maintain muscle mass and bone density, while still falling within the safe and acceptable range for protein consumption. Certain physiologic conditions and impaired digestion or absorption cause excessive protein losses and may precipitate protein energy malnutrition or PEM. PEM affects the whole body, including every component of the orofacial complex. The occurrence of PEM during critical developmental stages, including prenatal and postnatal periods, may affect developing tissues or lead to irreversible changes in oral tissues. During tooth development, mild to moderate protein deficiency results in smaller molars, significantly delayed eruption, retardation during development of mandible, and smaller salivary glands. Furthermore, poor nutrition also increases the risk of caries and periodontal diseases. Kwashiorkor develops when young children consume adequate calories, but inadequate high-quality protein. It usually appears after the child has been weaned from breast milk, while marasmus occurs in infants when both proteins and calories are deficient in the diet. The upper limit for safe levels of protein intake has not been determined. Numerous studies have shown that a higher protein intake does not have an adverse effect on bone health except in the context of inadequate calcium supply. The increase in protein intake caused an increase in urinary calcium and a decrease in calcium retention. At high levels of dietary protein, at least a portion of the increase in urinary calciums reflected in increased bone resorption. Fluid imbalances may occur when protein intake is excessive. It may happen in all age groups, but infants are especially vulnerable. A high-protein diet that usually refers to 25% to 35% of calories coming from protein foods may support weight control by enhancing loss of body fat with less muscle loss and improve control of blood glucose levels. Dietary protein may aid in weight loss by increasing satiation, increasing muscle mass which burns more calories, increasing production of body heat, and decreasing energy efficiency. However, other macronutrients also need to be considered. If the principal source of protein is red meat and regular dairy products, intakes of saturated fat and cholesterol content is high, which raises the risk of cardiovascular diseases, including stroke. If carbohydrates are severely restricted by choosing primarily protein foods, high-fiber foods are limited. High-fiber plant foods help lower blood lipids. Restriction of plant-based carbohydrate foods limits nutrients that offer protection against cancer and other diseases, and causes problems such as constipation and diverticulosis. High-protein diets may be harmful to the kidneys in individuals with pre-existing metabolic renal dysfunction. It may also alter the kidney function of individuals who practice high-protein diet for an extended period of time. When renal function is impaired, the American Diabetes Association recommends limiting protein intake to less than 20% of total calories. Well, this is the end of today's lecture. I hope you have gained new insights by watching this video. Thank you.